If your PS5 suddenly shuts down during gaming, shows a heat warning, or turns off without warning, you are not alone. This is one of the most common real-world failures reported on Reddit, PlayStation forums, and repair shop workbenches. Many users describe the same pattern. The console starts fine, gameplay runs normally for 10 to 40 minutes, then the fan ramps up. The system becomes hot, a warning may appear, or sometimes the PS5 simply powers off instantly. In some cases, it refuses to turn back on until it cools down. This is not a software glitch. This is not normal behavior. This is your PS5 protecting itself from permanent damage. Inside your console, there is a thermal protection system designed to shut down power when temperatures exceed safe limits. This system exists to prevent the main processor, called the system on a chip, from cracking, warping, or permanently degrading. Many people assume overheating only happens if the room is hot or the console is old. That assumption is wrong. I have seen brand new PS5 units overheat within weeks because of blocked airflow, poor placement, dust accumulation, or thermal compound issues. I have also seen consoles overheat because of incorrect user behavior, such as placing the PS5 inside closed cabinets or using it vertically without proper stand alignment, or blocking rear exhaust vents with walls or sound bars. Some users try quick fixes like restarting, changing power cables, or updating software. These steps can help in some situations, but they do not solve real thermal failures. If your PS5 is overheating, the root cause is almost always airflow restriction, fan failure, dust buildup, thermal compound degradation, or internal hardware defects. This video will guide you through professional, technician-tested troubleshooting steps. Used in real repair workshops, you will learn how to safely diagnose the cause of overheating. You will understand why each failure happens. You will learn how to fix what you can safely fix at home and how to know when to stop and seek professional service. This is not guesswork. These solutions come from real field repairs, user reports, and long-term testing. No myths, no shortcuts, no unsafe advice. Safety warning. Never operate your PS5 while disassembled unless you are trained. Never touch internal components while the system is plugged in. Never apply excessive force when opening panels. If you are unsure at any step, stop and seek professional service. Repairing a PS5 incorrectly can permanently damage the motherboard, power supply, or cooling system. If you want to stop your PS5 from overheating and shutting down, and if you want to protect your console from long-term damage, you are in the right place. In the next section, I will introduce the channel, explain my repair background, and tell you why these troubleshooting steps work in real-world conditions. Welcome to Tech Vibes. Another symptom pattern is loud fan noise followed by shutdown. If your fan becomes extremely loud before shutdown, that means the temperature sensors are detecting heat and commanding the fan to increase speed. If the fan cannot remove heat fast enough, the system shuts down anyway. This often points to airflow blockage, dust buildup, or thermal compound failure. Some users report that the PS5 turns off, then refuses to turn back on for several minutes. This is a classic thermal cooldown lockout. The power management system prevents restart until internal temperatures drop below safe limits. If your console behaves this way, overheating is almost guaranteed. Another important symptom is shutdown only during specific games. If your PS5 runs fine on menus or streaming apps but shuts down during high-performance games, that indicates a heat load issue. Graphically demanding games push the processor and graphics cores harder, increasing heat output. If the cooling system is marginal, shutdown happens only under load. Some users experience random shutdowns without warning, even during light use. This can be caused by power supply overheating, failing power delivery circuits, or corrupted temperature sensor data. This symptom requires careful diagnosis because it can mimic overheating while actually being a power fault. Now let us talk about visual and auditory clues. If your PS5 vents feel extremely hot to the touch, that is a red flag. If the rear exhaust air is weak or not warm, that suggests airflow blockage or fan failure. If the fan is silent during heavy use, that is a critical failure. The fan must spin. If it does not, the console will overheat rapidly. Also pay attention to error codes or on-screen warnings. A thermal warning is direct evidence of overheating. However, absence of a warning does not mean absence of overheating. Many shutdowns occur before the system can display a warning. Technician tip: write down exactly what happens before shutdown. Time to failure, fan noise, game type, warning messages, restart behavior. These details guide the entire diagnostic process and prevent unnecessary disassembly. In the next section, we will begin with the safest and most basic checks. Before assuming internal hardware failure, always begin with external power and environmental checks. This is not a shortcut. This is professional diagnostic order. Start with the power source. Plug your PS5 directly into a wall outlet. Do not use extension cords, power strips, surge protectors, or UPS devices during testing. These accessories can introduce voltage drops, resistance, or heat buildup that cause the power supply to shut down under load. Inspect the power cable. Look for bent pins, loose connectors, frayed insulation, or heat discoloration. A damaged cable increases electrical resistance, which generates heat. Replace the cable if there is any doubt. Now check the wall outlet. Test it with another high-power device such as a microwave or heater. If the outlet cuts power, flickers, or feels warm, do not use it. Next, evaluate your PS5 placement. This is one of the most common user errors. The PS5 must have open airflow on all sides, especially the rear exhaust vents. Do not place it inside cabinets, shelves, drawers, or entertainment units with closed backs. If your PS5 is vertical, confirm it is mounted on the official stand or a proper third-party stand. Improper vertical placement can block intake vents at the bottom or rear. Check the room environment. High ambient temperatures increase internal console temperatures. If your room is hot, poorly ventilated, or exposed to direct sunlight, your PS5 will overheat faster. Now, perform a basic airflow test. Turn on your PS5 and place your hand behind the rear vents. You should feel a steady flow of warm air. Also listen for the fan. It should start spinning shortly after boot. If you hear no fan noise at all, stop using the console immediately. Operating without active cooling will cause permanent damage. Safety warning. Do not insert objects into vents. Do not use vacuum cleaners directly on vents. Do not spray compressed air into vents while the console is powered on. Technician tip. Many consoles overheat simply because they are placed inside closed TV cabinets. Removing the console from the cabinet alone resolves the problem in many cases. If external power and placement checks pass and the PS5 still overheats or shuts down, then the problem is internal or software related. We will cover software diagnostics next. Start by fully shutting down your PS5. Do not use rest mode. Turn it off completely. Unplug the power cable from the wall. Wait at least 5 minutes. This allows the power management system to fully reset and clears residual charge from internal components. After waiting, plug the power cable directly into the wall and turn the PS5 back on. Now check for system updates. Go to Settings, then go to System, then go to System Software, then go to System Software Update, and Settings, then go to Update System Software. Install any available updates. Sony frequently releases firmware updates that improve thermal management, fan curves, and power stability. Running outdated firmware can cause inefficient cooling behavior. Next, rebuild the database. This does not erase data. It reorganizes system files and fixes corrupted system indexes that can cause abnormal system behavior. To do this, turn off the PS5 completely. Press and hold the power button until you hear a second beep. This enters safe mode. Connect your controller using a USB cable. Select Rebuild Database. Allow the process to complete fully. If rebuilding the database does not help, clear system cache. In safe mode, select Clear Cache. This removes temporary system files that can interfere with proper performance and temperature reporting. Now test the console. Run the same game that previously caused shutdown. Monitor fan noise, temperature behavior, and shutdown timing. If the console now runs longer or stops shutting down, the issue may have been software related. However, if the PS5 still overheats and shuts down, do not waste time with repeated resets or reinstallations. Software alone cannot fix physical heat transfer failures, airflow obstructions, fan malfunctions, or power supply overheating. Technician tip. Some users factory reset their PS5 immediately when overheating occurs. This is unnecessary and does not solve thermal hardware failures. Only perform a factory reset if you are diagnosing system corruption, not overheating. Safety warning. Do not update system software if your PS5 is actively overheating or shutting down. A shutdown during firmware update can permanently brick the console. Another software-related factor is background activity. Make sure no downloads, uploads, or background apps are running during testing. Go to the control center and close all running applications. Heavy background activity increases system load and heat generation. Also check display settings. Go to settings, then go to screen and video, then go to video output. Set resolution to automatic. Disable features like 120 Hz output temporarily. High refresh rates increase GPU load and heat output. This is not a fix, but it helps confirm whether load is contributing to shutdown. If software fixes do not resolve the issue and symptoms remain consistent, the root cause is almost certainly physical cooling failure or internal power system overheating. In the next section, we will focus specifically on airflow, ventilation design, and placement errors that cause real-world PS5 overheating. Airflow is the foundation of thermal management. If air cannot enter and exit the console properly, no amount of software updates or resets will prevent overheating. Most PS5 overheating cases seen in repair shops are caused by airflow restriction, not by defective parts. The PS5 is designed with intake vents on the sides and exhaust vents at the rear. Cool air enters through the sides, passes over the heatsink and internal components, and exits through the back. If any part of this airflow path is blocked, heat becomes trapped inside the system. Start by inspecting all intake and exhaust vents. Look for dust buildup, pet hair, fabric fibers, or debris. Even a thin layer of dust on intake vents can reduce airflow significantly. If you see visible dust, turn off the console, unplug it, and gently wipe the exterior vents with a dry microfiber cloth. Do not use liquids. Next, confirm proper clearance. There should be at least 10 to 15 centimeters of open space around all sides of the console, especially the rear. Do not place objects behind the PS5. Do not press it against walls. Do not place it inside closed furniture. Avoid placing the PS5 on carpets, rugs, beds, or soft surfaces. These materials block bottom vents and trap heat. Always place the console on a hard, flat, stable surface. Now evaluate vertical versus horizontal placement. Both are safe when done correctly. However, incorrect vertical placement is a common problem. If the stand is not installed properly, intake vents at the bottom can become blocked, reducing airflow. Always use the official stand or a properly designed third-party stand. Technician tip: I have seen consoles overheat simply because a soundbar or speaker was placed directly behind the rear exhaust vents. Moving the soundbar solved the problem without any internal repair. Another critical issue is cabinet airflow. Many entertainment units look open from the front, but are closed at the back. This traps hot air inside the cabinet, causing the PS5 to recirculate its own exhaust air. This leads to rapid temperature rise and shutdown. If your PS5 is inside a cabinet, remove it for testing. Check for environmental heat sources. Do not place the PS5 near heaters, radiators, gaming PCs, or sunlight. External heat increases internal operating temperatures. Now perform a real-world airflow test. Turn on the PS5 and run a high-performance game. Place your hand behind the rear vents. You should feel a strong stream of warm air. If airflow feels weak, blocked, or uneven, that indicates internal obstruction or fan problems. If improving placement and airflow resolves the shutdown, no internal repair is required. If the console still overheats despite correct placement and ventilation, the problem is inside the cooling system. In the next section, we will examine fan performance, dust buildup, and safe cleaning methods that technicians use to restore cooling efficiency. When airflow and placement are correct but overheating persists, the next most common cause is dust buildup inside the cooling system. Dust acts as insulation. It blocks airflow. It traps heat on the heatsink. It reduces fan efficiency. Over time, even a small amount of dust can raise internal temperatures enough to trigger thermal shutdown. Start with an external inspection. Look into the vents using a flashlight. If you see visible dust, debris, or lint, internal cleaning is required. Do not assume that exterior cleaning alone is enough. Dust accumulates inside the fan blades, heat sink fins, and exhaust channels. Safety warning: always unplug the PS5 before cleaning. Never clean the console while it is powered on. Never spray liquids or compressed air directly into the console without opening it. This can push dust deeper into the system and damage internal components. Sony designed the PS5 with user-removable side panels for basic dust removal. Follow the official panel removal method. Gently remove the side panels. You will see dust collection ports and ventilation channels. Use a low-power vacuum or soft brush to remove dust from these areas. Do not insert tools deeply into the system. Technician tip: use a soft brush combined with a vacuum held nearby. Brush dust loose and allow the vacuum to pull it out. If basic dust removal does not resolve overheating, deeper internal cleaning may be required. This involves removing the fan. This step should only be performed if you are confident, careful, and following proper disassembly guides. The fan often accumulates dust on the intake side and inside the blades, reducing airflow significantly. Once the fan is removed, clean it with a soft brush and compressed air away from the console. Next, inspect the heatsink. If dust has accumulated between the fins, airflow will be restricted even if the fan is clean. Carefully brush dust out of the fins. Do not bend the fins. Do not apply force. If your PS5 continues to overheat even after confirming proper airflow, cleaning the fan, and ensuring ventilation is correct, the next critical area to check is thermal transfer. This includes the thermal paste, liquid metal, and heatsink contact. These components are responsible for moving heat from the processor and GPU to the heatsink efficiently. If they fail, the PS5 will overheat regardless of fan speed or airflow. The PS5 system on a chip generates significant heat under load. Even after airflow, fan cleaning, and proper thermal paste application, some PS5 consoles continue to overheat. At this stage, the problem may involve internal hardware failures. One of the most common internal hardware issues is power supply overheating or failure. If the power supply cannot deliver stable voltage due to aging components, poor solder joints, or internal heat buildup, the system may shut down under load. Technician tip: always follow a logical diagnostic sequence. Start with external power, airflow, fan and heatsink cleaning, thermal paste replacement, then internal hardware inspection. Skipping steps often leads to unnecessary work. In the next section, we will discuss the most important mistakes users make when attempting to fix overheating, so you can avoid them and protect your PS5. At this stage, it is critical to understand what not to do when your PS5 is overheating or shutting down. Many users unknowingly make mistakes that worsen the problem or permanently damage their console. Do not operate the PS5 with blocked vents. Running the console while airflow is restricted is one of the fastest ways to cause permanent damage. Do not use liquids inside the console. Spraying water, alcohol, or cleaning solutions directly into vents or onto the fan may seem like a cleaning shortcut. In reality, this risks short circuits, corrosion, or permanent component failure. Do not use vacuum cleaners directly on the fan. High suction or direct contact can damage the fan motor or dislodge small components. The safest method is using a soft brush or low-power vacuum held nearby while brushing dust loose. Do not over-apply thermal paste or liquid metal. Excess paste outside the CPU or GPU can cause shorts, interfere with other components, or reduce heat transfer efficiency. Liquid metal conducts electricity. Only a thin, controlled layer is safe. Do not ignore warning signs. If your PS5 displays thermal warnings, shuts down repeatedly, or fails to start after cooling, do not force continued operation. Ignoring these symptoms leads to permanent damage. Do not perform aggressive disassembly without proper knowledge. Removing screws incorrectly, bending brackets, or forcing components can permanently damage the motherboard. Only remove parts you are confident handling. Do not rely solely on software resets. Factory resets will not fix fan failure or blocked airflow. Also, do not place the PS5 in unsafe environments like carpets or enclosed cabinets. Environmental heat compounds internal heat. Technician tip: think before you act. Every intervention should have a purpose. Avoid random fixes that can make a small problem irreversible. In the next section, we will break down the full technician diagnostic flow. Now that we've covered mistakes, it's time to walk through the full technician diagnostic flow. This is how professionals approach PS5 overheating and auto shutdown problems efficiently, safely, and logically. Step 1. External power verification. Start by confirming the wall outlet is stable and the power cable is in good condition. Plug the PS5 directly into a known working wall socket. Avoid surge protectors during testing. Step 2. Environmental assessment. Ensure at least 10 to 15 centimeters of clearance around all sides. Verify ambient room temperature is reasonable. Place the PS5 on a hard, flat surface. This step alone often resolves minor overheating. Step 3. Software check. Power cycle, enter safe mode, and rebuild the database. Step 4. Airflow and fan inspection. Check that the fan spins on boot. Clean the fan and vent channels using soft brushes to prevent heat buildup. Step 5. Internal cleaning. If overheating persists, remove side panels. Inspect the internal fan and heat sink for dust. Check thermal paste condition. Ensure heat sink screws are tightened evenly. Step 6. Sensor verification. Check temperature sensor readings. Step 7. Power supply check. Examine the power supply for overheating or bulging capacitors. Inspect motherboard solder joints for micro cracks. Step 8. Controlled testing. Run the console under load and document results. Step 9. Professional intervention. If all else fails, the console may require advanced component replacement or motherboard repair. Technician tip: always maintain a record of actions. To make this concrete, let's look at real-world PS5 overheating cases. These examples illustrate how a systematic approach solves problems efficiently. Case study. 1. Dust and fan blockage. A user reported shutdowns after 20 minutes. The internal fan had dust buildup. Cleaning the fan and heatsink resolved the issue. Lesson: minor dust plus poor placement can trigger overheating. Case study 2. Degraded thermal paste. A PS5 shut down after 10 minutes. The thermal paste was hardened. Replacing it with fresh, high-quality paste normalized temperatures. Lesson: thermal paste degrades over time. Case study. 3. Power supply heat stress. Overheating caused by an aging power supply requiring replacement. Case study 4. Placement. Moving a console from a closed cabinet to a ventilated area fixed the issue. Lesson: check environment and power first. Case study 5. Mixed failure scenario. A more complex case involved a PS5 with shutdowns after 30 minutes of gameplay. The console had dust buildup, slightly degraded thermal paste, and a partially failing fan bearing. The technician first cleaned the dust, then replaced the thermal paste, and finally replaced the fan. After these steps, the system ran perfectly for hours. Technician tip: always address problems in order: external power, airflow, software, fan and thermal, then internal components. We've now covered the full troubleshooting process. Let's summarize the most important takeaways and give you actionable steps you can follow safely. 1. Identify symptoms early. Pay attention to warning messages, fan noise, and shutdown patterns. Early detection prevents permanent damage. 2. External power and placement check. Always plug your PS5 directly into a stable wall outlet. Avoid power strips during testing. 4. Clean fans and vents safely. Use a soft brush or low-power vacuum to remove dust. Avoid liquids or excessive force.